I've been sort of waiting for that day that nobody shows up on Zoom, and today might be that day. Laura's not coming? How do you know that? Have you? Really? Laura from it, who lives in Italy? Crying out loud. She is, or was my last kind of holdout. Huh? Yeah, but that may be it then, because you're here. And sometimes Denise comes, but funny, when we first went into shutdown, there were like 40 people on Zoom. But now we got this great circle. How nice. It's full today. Yeah, we'll see if that many show up though. 3, 6, 9. No, we are not at 15 yet. Two rows someday. We need to put little X's or something on the floor. Nobody is coming. I'm going to allow YouTube to go, but you guys don't need or care about the TV, right? Did it go off? Oh, no. It's interesting. I want to get me there, but okay. Well, welcome everyone to our Sunday Sangha at Saladana in English. C free. No, I don't think there is a 3, right? C2 English, C2 plus. I'll try to keep it at C1. So what are we going to do? We will meditate for 30 minutes. And then what I thought I would do, because this is going to be my last day physically here for possibly a month or maybe 2 months. I'll have to go back to, well, I'm hoping to get some real life people, but otherwise I'll be on the TV, hopefully. So what I thought I would do is open it up to any questions, not that I'm an expert really, but to any questions you might have about practice, about your practice. And if there are not many or any, then I thought I would go back to what we did a couple, 2, 3 weeks ago, where we read some emails or some quotes that came to me by email from a Burmese monk. And then also Darren recommended tricycles. I also signed up for those, or not Darren, Damien. And so if we still have time, we'll look at some tricycle quotes. But I thought, if you have any questions, you want to ask me, about your home practice, about here, not about your personal life, but they should. Okay. Are there any questions now? Okay, so what I thought we would do on the meditation, I've been playing around myself with my own practice with tools or tricks, ways to come back to the present moment. And not only come back to it, but actually stay in it for at least a moment or two, right? And one of the ones that I really like is to use the observer, kind of almost even as a mental image, the observer, which we all have in our mind. We have this ability to observe ourselves, to observe our thoughts, to observe our feelings. They believe it comes from the prefrontal cortex part of our brain. And so the trick that I kind of do is like just to remind myself, watch or observe. Well, my eyes are shut, but it does actually kind of seem like I'm watching with my eyes, but I'm watching the sensations in my body, for instance. I'm aware of them, I'm observing them. And it can be, when you get there, you're not clinging, clutching, nothing, right? You're not identifying with anything. You're just watching it, kind of from a distance almost, even though what you're watching is your inner life. But it just has that same kind of quality of being a little bit an observer, a little bit distant. Right? And another trick that I use, and we did this on Saturday, yesterday, is to just remind yourself to just be. Solo ser is what came up, I think, in Spanish. Solo ser, solo soy, solo ser, or just be. Don't do anything. Don't follow your breath, don't follow your thoughts, don't follow your feelings, just sit there. And sometimes that also can kind of get us to that place. So we'll start off with kind of a usual samatha practice where we try to calm and center the mind using an object, which will be the breath, if you like the breath, the body, or sounds. And then, maybe about halfway through, I will introduce this more open observing meditation. Does that sound okay? Okay. There is my timepiece. Okay, so find a comfortable posture, one where the body is erect, straight up and down. And I like how one teacher put it, to find a noble posture. So one that has dignity, and at the same time is comfortable. So usually we use the body at first to connect to this present moment, to unify the mind and the body. We could do a little body scan. Let's start with our feet today. So feeling the feet, just noticing what sensations are in your feet. Notice where your feet are touching the floor or the zabuton, each other. Maybe some tingling. Moving to the legs, the lower legs. Just bringing awareness to the lower legs, to the upper legs, to the sit bones. How about the hips? Try to feel your hips. They often have an empty sensation. And going to your back body, the lower back, the lumbar region, upper back, shoulder blades, the front body, the belly, chest. And then let's move to the hands. Feel your hands. And they might have sensation at the point of contact, maybe tingling. And your arms, feeling your arms. And your shoulders. Maybe there's some weight in the shoulders. The neck. And the head. Feel your head. Feel your face. Feel your jaw. You can give it a wiggle. And now try to feel your whole body at once. Sitting body. So for the samatha practice, the body makes a very good anchor so that when you notice your thinking, you can come back to the body. You have something to come back to, and you have an object for your attention. body. So if that's a little too expansive, you want something more narrow, we can use the breath. The breath is also very interesting because it's coming and going. So we were reading from Ajahn Sumedho yesterday, and his recommendation is to follow the rhythm of the breath. The ritmo, rhythm. We can follow the rhythm throughout the body, or we can even follow it at a specific point. The nose, the chest, the belly. Pick whatever is comfortable for you, easy for you, maybe even pleasant. And finally, if the body or the breath as an anchor isn't comfortable today for you, you can use sounds, hearing, just listening as an anchor. Very receptive, calming method. So let's just practice. You try to stay connected to your anchor, but of course you're going to think. The brain is going to do its thing, the mind. When you notice, just try to gently but firmly come back to your anchor. Breath, body, or sounds. Again and again, doesn't matter how many times, just keep coming back. you are working with the breath as an anchor, you can use a little reminder, a little label to help you track the inhalations and exhalations. For instance, you could say, breathing in, breathing out, inhalando, exhalando. Or, as Ajahn Sumedho had said in the same book, you can use the word Buddha, but in Thai it's Buddho. So on the inhalation, Bu, and on the exhalation, Do. Very common mantra, you might say, in the Thai forest tradition. Aligning it with the breath. Bu with the inhalation, Do with the exhalation. Now you can continue with the samatha practice, working with your anchor. Come back again and again. Or if you are interested or willing, you can try this more open awareness or natural awareness technique, where we find that observing perspective, and we just observe our inner life. Observe sensations in the body, observe the breath, observe thoughts, observe sounds or the hearing of sound. It can be a little floaty, a little unstable almost, which some people like. And if if it gets too floaty, if the mind wanders too much, you can always go back to your anchor. Reground yourself with the anchor. Just give it a try, just opening up to your inner life and observe whatever is passing through, whatever arises. And you can also use that reminder to just be solo ser. No, like it's nada. Don't need to do anything. Just sit, just be. Another tool for this natural awareness practice is to imagine you're looking. Imagine you're seeing, you're looking with your eyes, even though your eyes are closed. You're scanning the body, looking. Observing, literally observing with sight, but our eyes are closed. attention is relaxed. We're not searching for anything, focusing on anything. We're just gently noticing whatever arises with a very relaxed attention. Even allowing our body to just relax. The whole zone of our awareness just bathed in relaxation, tranquility, kindness, love, cariño. Another supporting technique is to use hearing, listening as a gateway into the natural awareness. It's very receptive. Just listen. Like right now, we have the air conditioning, just doing a gentle hum. Just kind of listen to the gentle hum of the air conditioning. All the while being aware of the body, its sensations. Very good. So no matter where your mind has been, how the meditation has gone, let's come back to the body. Reconnect the physical form. Maybe there's some new sensations in the body. Even have some discomfort, maybe in the legs or the knees. We just notice. You're aware of it, but don't need to do anything about it. And if you're willing, bring your attention to your heart space, to the chest. And thank yourself for your practice, for the goodness of your practice, for showing up today to take care of yourself in this way, to treat yourself hopefully as well, and to take care of those around you, those you love. And imagine you can take this goodwill that you've just generated, this appreciation, this gratitude, and send it out in all directions, touching each of the people here in Saladana and anybody watching on YouTube, and sending it in all directions. And then when you hear the sound of the bell, which I'll ring 3 times, feel your body. Notice if that resonates or reverberates in any way, and also keep aware of your thoughts. What thoughts arise when you hear the bell? Very much. I hope my instructions were clear. So funny how here you all are in person, but you're also on my screen, and my eye is drawn to the screen. It's like such a funny thing, right? If my phone was here, I'd probably be looking at the phone. Actually, I don't need it because, yeah, because it's coming from there. So yeah, I can close it. There's no camera there. So, I mean, I would really like to hear from as many people as possible about how this meditation was, especially the second part, right? And if you have any questions or any comments you want to share about your practice or anything related to meditation, also is welcome. Who is willing to put their voice in the room first? Maybe my question will be, so for the second part, did anybody, and we could even show hands, did you feel that sense of observer? that observador or that observadora. Who kind of felt that? Sometimes, right? Yeah, it's usually a sometimes thing for sure. Okay, so we had a few people and a few people not quite yet. I'm assuming it's a cultivated practice, right? It's a developed practice. It isn't something that for everybody we can notice right away. I do like, for me, especially the hearing, if I go to that, just listening, or maybe to the, looking, I can often kind of back into it. Another one I like to do is I like to just, I remember when I was a kid, they would say your mind's eye. Did you guys ever, like in school, maybe the mind's eye, right? As if the mind has an eye, but in a way it kind of does. So with this mind's eye, looking at my whole body and like enveloping the whole body with awareness. That's another way that kind of establish, that presence of observing. Let's see. So during the second half, did people find it a little more kind of wobbly, where the mind more easily drifted off? Now, some people don't like it so much because it can be very sort of wobbly like that. They want an anchor, they want a place they can go to. I have to come back to myself. Yeah. 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 And that's part of the practice. Absolutely. Yeah. What can get nice about this, the more we do it, is that you can use it out there in the real world more easily than, say, focusing on the breath. Although we can also do that too, right? You can be walking down the street and you could be concentrating on your breath. You can be in the metro, concentrating on your breath. But sometimes it's difficult to concentrate on your breath and do whatever you're doing. But with this thing, this more open awareness, we can actually be aware of whatever we're doing, like even doing the dishes. That's such a Thich Nhat Hanh, this famous Zen monk, often talks about doing the dishes, right? Fregar los platos, and how we can do it from the observing place, with mindfulness, you might say, where we're not thinking. And by the way, I'm terrible at this, and I'm terrible at doing the dishes. I do the dishes and I'm like all wet, but I do try, and I've got it. When I'm not thinking, I'm just washing the plate, and it's almost the same sensation as meditating. It just feels relaxing and good. It's not tensing or anything. Say it again. I couldn't quite hear you. But. Mm-hmm. So if I understand your question, and maybe you'll see by my answer whether I do or not, my experience really has been that when I'm in the observing place, I'm not thinking. And or maybe I'm thinking but I'm not aware of it. The attention that we can direct is directed towards observing. And so for some reason, the thoughts are like either in the background in the second plano, or they're like not even, the brain is not even thinking. I know I was watching either it was a YouTube or a podcast or something by a doctor or a PhD and also a meditation teacher who was talking about how the mind's default mode, okay, modo de emisión, is to think. But as long as we're paying attention to something, prestar la atención, right? Then it's not in the default mode. We're paying attention. So the same thing I think would be true here is when we're in that even expansive awareness, but we're in the place of the observer, the mind's eye, as you might call it, then the thinking should be like más allá, like somewhere else. Now we can think, like right now I'm talking, and I also can be aware that I'm talking at the same time, right? If it's very deliberate like that, and we can think like that too. I can just think, okay, what I'm going to say, and I'm right with it. That kind of thinking is fine, but very unlikely that you're thinking like that and doing the dishes at the same time. Probably not. When we're doing the dishes, usually the thinking is daydreaming. Usually the thinking is this papancha, we call it in Pali, where they're just one after another, and it's going like that. So if we can find ourselves in the observing place, in the mind, in mindfulness, say with the plate, with what we're doing, there probably aren't going to be much thought. They'll come, we notice, we let them go, and then they're gone again for a bit, and then they come back. So did that address your question by chance, or? Okay. Think deliberately. Think mindfully. Yeah, about that. Because what I kind of heard is that what I heard, or what I made up in my brain, was that with an open awareness, what I thought I heard you say, then there'd be thoughts in the open awareness. Is that what you said? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it is harder. And like I think yesterday we did it, and maybe last week so normally there's two steps between what we started with today and what we ended with. We kind of skipped it. And I thought I would just give it a try. So we kind of went from a pretty basic, just concentrate on the breath, for instance, to this rather advanced form of meditation, which is called natural awareness, or awareness of awareness. So I did push you guys a little bit into something that can take years to develop. It's not that easy to just like that start to do it. And I'm glad you guys were willing to give it a try. And it gets to the point, though, where two things happen. It gets to the point where we can be more spacious like that and not get lost in thought so much. That comes with practice. But also what comes, this is maybe even more prevalent, is we start to accept whatever arises more easily. Thoughts, whatever it is. We stop getting on our case, we stop criticizing ourselves, we stop judging ourselves over time with the practice. And so then we have an open awareness, thoughts come in, and it's like no big deal. Because that is the nature of the mind, when thoughts come. And that also happens. So many emotional type of things happen naturally as a result of meditation. You can't force them, but they happen naturally. Compassion is one. With practice, you start to feel more compassionate towards yourself and others. It just comes. Generosity just comes. Kindness just comes. Gratitude just comes. These things, they just start to come. You can't push them. You can't force them, but this is a practice of cultivating them. And so they just start to come. So you could be just sitting there in open awareness and there's thoughts all over the place, which right now might irritate you. Gosh, so many thoughts. But at a point, you're just like, who cares? Right? I was watching this YouTube video of this Zen master, and he's supposed to be one of the premier masters of the Zen tradition. And he's like, she's this interviewer, he was being interviewed by a lady. And the lady asked him, kind of about his day and what's the difference between, these deep kinds of meditation and what's the difference between just his regular day. And more or less, he just kind of pointed out that in the deep meditation, yes, I'm meditating and it's wonderful. And in my regular day, I'm usually lost in thought and it's also wonderful. It's both good. Both are good because he doesn't care. That's really where we want to be, right? We want to be at the place where we don't care what our brain does, our mind. But that takes time because at first we're like, I shouldn't have that thought, or, my brain keeps thinking, I'm meditating, why am I thinking? But you get to the point where you realize this is the way it is, and it's not a big deal. No pasa nada. No. Okay, bueno pues. Any more questions? Yes.
Just a thought. I think that the way we're picking out certain senses, like what's happening in your eyes, you hear it. Maybe that's kind of a structure over here to see what like taking on different anchors.
Yeah.
But if so we're starting by focusing on breath, focusing on body, and then something that's because I do this towards the end will be thinking about what's happening when we see like and then without letting go of that, what am I hearing? Taste, smell, or adding the senses bit by bit. And I find that kind of gets me into open awareness of the whole.
Yeah.
With all the senses.
Yeah.
But in a kind of structured way around.
Yeah. So you use each of the senses. Do you by chance also use taste and smell when you do that, or? Yeah, those are a little harder. Yeah, especially with masks, you can't smell anything. But yeah, that's very good. So I don't know if everybody heard, but one way to get into this awareness is to use all the senses, and you could do them methodically, right? You could start with the vision, go to the hearing, go to that tactile feeling, and you could even use smell, sense or smelling and taste. And any one of our senses, this is what's so beautiful. Any one of our senses can bring us into the present moment at any time, right? So just taking this practice and going back out into the street, if you're walking along, if suddenly you just like notice with your eyes what you're seeing, without interpreting it, oh, that's ugly. You don't do that. But you're just noticing, you're looking, you're seeing. During that moment, when you're just observing with your eyes what's passing by, you're in the present moment. And possibly being mindful in that moment. Or you could, do the same thing with hearing. You could just hear. What our brain will do is it'll want to interpret it, it'll want to judge it, it'll want to, create an image about it. That's what all the stuff the brain wants to add. We don't need that. We just want a bare knowing. of how things are. And we can do it anytime. Walking, going to the feeling or walking down the street. One of the things I like to do, like today was one of those days where I felt like I was in competition with my brain because I'm going to be traveling, and so my brain wants to plan, right? So put the attention in the soles of the feet, right? Put them in the soles of your feet while you're walking, and just feel the touching of the ground with your feet. If you could do that for 5 or 10 steps, you're already going to be grounded again. You're already going to feel better. It's almost guaranteed. Just, and we can do that at any time. Any one of our senses will get us to that place. Mm. Hmm. Mm. How to walk. Yeah, I know several meditation teachers of very high, however you would call it, practices, and they love walking. Joseph Goldstein, who's probably one of my favorite teachers, every year he goes on 3-month silent retreat, self-retreat, and walking is a big part of his daily practice, the walking meditation. I mean, someday Chema incorporates it. He does a 10-minute walking in his Tuesday meditation and maybe all of his meditation. And I was thinking we have enough space here. We really could do it. It really is a beautiful, beautiful practice. Without shoes is better, yes. But if you're in the street, better to have shoes. There's weird stuff out there. But you can still feel it. You still feel the touching and the connection. But yeah, this floor, this wood is so nice on the bare feet. So maybe start doing that. This session on Sunday used to be a little longer because we also used to have a tea break and a social break, a Sangha break, But because of COVID, obviously we've stopped doing that. But maybe, I don't know, it might make sense to maybe make it a little bit longer and then have a walking meditation. Yeah, I think that would be nice. Okay, any other comments or questions? Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, good. Yeah, I do too. It's probably my go-to kind of reminder, just be. Because I'm kind of a doer, and that's a big habit I have of trying to do something. And meditation can very much be like that. It's like, okay, I'm going to meditate so that I have a certain experience, right? I'm going to meditate so that I feel blissful, or I'm going to meditate so that I get enlightened, or whatever it is. There's always some doing, something, and it just gets in the way. It just gets in the way. And so many traditions, Zen and Tibetan, the Dzogchen and Maya Mudra and stuff. It's just be, just nothing more, nada más. Just sit there. Because when I say just sit there, so probably maybe one thinks, oh, if I just sit here, I'm going to daydream. But no, but if you started the daydream, now you're doing something. So you're no longer just sitting there, right? Now you're sitting there and daydreaming. So it's just sit there and don't do anything else, including daydream. Right? You just sit there. And it's a really, for me anyways, a really helpful portal into this awareness of awareness. And, I know mostly we talk about Buddhism here, and I also like it. It interests me very much, the Vedanta, they call it Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, non-dualist teachings of the Indians that go back even before the Buddha, okay, from the Upanishads and stuff. And in their perspective, our true nature is consciousness. This is what we really are, is consciousness, is awareness. And so if you look at it from that point of view, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I have no idea, but that's their point of view. When we're just being, right, we are in this universal consciousness at the same time. There is no separation. And I find that idea quite beautiful. And in the Tibetans, in the Dzogchen tradition, probably also are saying that, or at least what they're saying is that the natural state of the mind, or the real state of the mind, is this awareness. This is the natural state of the mind, and we can experience it. Now, I have, also heard and been taught that Nibbana in other traditions, some traditions, is Masaya. It's like beyond that. It's to the unconditioned, where there's not even consciousness. I find that kind of hard to imagine, but maybe in another lifetime. But I do like the Dzogchen thing, that this is kind of all you can't go farther than that until you're dead, right? And maybe the dead is Nibbana, I don't know. So I sort of like that image of, and in the Vedantas, they'll also talk about, they'll use the word God. In fact, you know what? I'm going to read you one thing. It's not coming from either of the two emails. Uh-oh. Let's see. But I also get emails from Ramdas. He's dead now, but I keep sending him. I can't see it, but it says, I just got it today and I liked it. He goes, when the faith is strong enough, it is sufficient just to be. When the faith is strong enough, it is sufficient just to be. It's a journey towards simplicity, towards quietness, towards a kind of joy that is not in time. It's a journey that has taken us from primary identification with our body and our psyche onto an identification with God, and ultimately beyond identification. And he's a little bit more in the Vedanta non-dualist sort of teachings, but such a beautiful image, right? This is our journey towards simplicity, our journey towards quietness, our journey towards non-identification, our journey towards God, also you could say, but towards non-identification. Because this is really what gets us in the knots, right? It's this identification. I'm this body, I'm this man, I'm, teacher, I'm an American, I'm a Real Madrid fan, whatever it is, and I'm not actually. These identifications cause us to suffer. And the path is away from that. It's going in a different direction. It's going towards this just pure awareness, which some people call God. Okay, I think, yeah, that's actually a good time to stop, unless someone has a burning desire to say something about something. Okay, why don't we do a little metta meditation, which for those of you who are unfamiliar with metta, it's not a Spanish word in this case, it is a Pali word that means goodwill or loving kindness. Okay, so we did a little, at the end of the 30-minute meditation, we did a little bit of metta. Now we're going to do a little bit more. I'm going to offer phrases and you could say them mentally. And we're going to do 4 groups. We're going to do ourselves first. And then we're going to do somebody we really care about and we just love, love, love. And then we're going to do somebody we're having trouble with. And then we're going to do all beings. As some people are already doing, I also like to put my hands on my heart center for this. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be safe. May I live with ease. So now bring to mind somebody you really love unconditionally. It's like no holding back. Could be a pet, could be a little niece, or maybe a wonderful grandparent, and it could be a public figure. Could be the Buddha or Christ, Guan Yin. Just imagine that being in front of you. Let's practice offering metta to them. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you live with ease. And now let's try a difficult person. So this would mean somebody where there's a little resentment or there's some hurt. Maybe somebody said or didn't say something that you wanted, or did or didn't do something you wanted. Not too grand, just mild hurt. Imagining that person in front of us. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you live with ease. And now all beings in all directions without exceptions. May all beings be happy. May all beings be well. May all beings be safe. May all beings live with ease. Here to conclude our session this afternoon, this evening, in the tradition of renunciation, giving, letting go. We'll offer up the fruit of our practice, our Sangha, our community, the teachings, and our Buddha nature. Offer this up to all beings. May all beings be happy and peaceful, healthy and strong, safe and protected. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering, free from war and violence and discrimination and racism, and free from coronavirus. And may all beings find their path, find their journey that leads them to the end of suffering, that leads them to freedom, leads them to not identifying. May all beings be free. Thank you all very much for coming. Just a couple quick announcements. The first about Dana, which is a Pali Sanskrit word, which means generosity or giving. And here at Saladana, we try to do everything in this spirit. So we don't charge anything and have no expectations, hopefully. And you're also able to practice Dana, and you can do that by leaving a donation in one of the boxes, which when I'm here, I ask you to put it in the Saladana box, which is the smaller one. But if other teachers, other people are up here, there's a bigger box for them, and hopefully you could share with them. You can also help us clean up. It's very appreciated. So kind of sort of logical where the materials go, and you can put them back. Wondering, I mean, COVID has obviously made life very difficult in all arenas, including here. But one of the things we're thinking, maybe we could start to get to the point where we could create a little sitting area there where the Bodhi tree is and near the library. So if you know of any like couches that are vegan, don't want any leather or something, or a table or something, we might take some donations in that regard too, to create just like a little sitting area. And someday, I mean, I was really hoping that the place would be open and accessible all the time, right? A refuge for people to be able to come. And, maybe we can pull that off even with COVID, just following the guidelines and stuff. Meanwhile, I will be out of town, but I'll come on Sundays through the Zoom when we don't have somebody in person. But Carlos has been so kind to offer helping bring Chema in Espanol on Tuesdays. And then usually we have a physical person on Wednesdays. And I think yoga and stuff is going to start coming back in September. So check the website, saladana.org, or the meetup group. And bye, Javier. Gracias por venir. Yeah, and some people go out afterwards for a little supper, a little food, and everybody's welcome. Often eat, vegetarian always, but usually or often it's Indian, like in Lavapiés. Yeah. Any announcements, Carlos, or anything that I forgot?
Tuesday meetup is already published. I don't know. Wednesday, should I offer walk-in session, maybe silent meditation?
I mean, if nobody is available, Martina, Josie, if they're like all gone, if you're willing.
No, I can schedule it. I think have the plan might just be silent meditation.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'd like to reach out to a couple other possibilities too, so we can always have somebody on Wednesday. Thank you for that. Okay, well, thank you all.